90.7 KPFK, Los Angeles.
Russia, if you're listening.
Talk show, random, political, outrageous, philosophical, analytical, passionate, sunsets, roadkill cooking tips, open-minded, swordsman, bent, resolute, chocolate, bushwhacker, belt buckles, investigative, companion, fearless. Call in, piercing the cloud of mainstream entertainment. It's the Carrie Harrison Files.
And it is the Carrie Harrison Files. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Coming up, we're going to open up the phones to find out what topics and subjects are relevant to you during these times, because I want to build, I want to curate, I want to put together the kind of broadcast and stream that you actually need and can use in these times, because these are the times when an outgoing signal can matter again. Also, we're live streaming right now on Substack and YouTube. You can simply Google Carrie Harrison Substack or YouTube, and we can stay connected. You can also easily find us live at kpfk.net. Just go to kpfk.net. Don't forget, by the way, to sign up for our newsletter at carrieharrison.com. There you're going to get a transcript of this entire show, plus access to clips and stuff we simply cannot do on the radio in these modern times. That's our newsletter at carrieharrison.com. Well, you there, you sitting in traffic, you right there, that's it, scrolling through the abyss or pretending to work while eavesdropping on reality. Here's a question. When was the last time a show actually gave a damn about what you needed? Not what advertisers wanted, not what some algorithm thinks is going to keep you numb and obedient, but what actually helps you navigate this circus that we call modern life. Well, we're here today, right here, right now, to break that mold. But we're going to need your voice. We're going to need you to call in. We're going to need you to shout, to whisper, to send smoke signals, to tell us what keeps you up at night. Is it the state of veterans? Is it the state of students? Is it the state of seniors left to fend for themselves? The way government policies are hitting like a wrecking ball while promising support. Or maybe it's just the absurdity of the times where up is down and right is whatever gets the most clicks. If George Orwell were alive, well, all you'd have to do is say his last name and we could hang up and move along, right? In an era where algorithms decide what you see, where social media feels like a chaotic shouting match, and where streaming services keep us locked into echo chambers of content we already know we like, radio remains the last great democratic medium. And that's not to say that we haven't turned this thing into an echo chamber too. Like, we all know we like each other. We all know we generally agree. We're all going to definitely get along within this signal. But this signal reaches a lot of people that don't agree with us. And it's time for you to decide, what do they need to hear? How do we convince them to come around to sane and rational thinking? You know, radio doesn't have a bandwidth issue. You can drive through tunnels. You could put 1 million people listening to this at the same time, and there is no bandwidth diminishment, as there would be on a stream. You know, you get 1 million people logging on, and it fritters down to nothing, and it crashes, and it goes away, just like a website would if you get too many people on it. Not with radio, unlimited bandwidth. So we have a real opportunity to do something together. Also, radio, this show is never going to ask you to refresh your feed. It doesn't demand anything. It doesn't bombard you with clickbait. It just exists, ever present, reaching into homes, into cars, into workplaces, even lonely night shifts. And it's not lost in an endless scroll of doom. It's immediate. It's raw. It's real. It's you. It's live. And in these times, harsh, uncertain, and at moments downright impossible, we need connection more than ever. But, you know, maybe most importantly, radio, this show, the Carrie Harrison Files, me, you, one of the last places where we can actually talk to each other. Not in comment threads, not in nasty 30-second clips, not in snipes on Facebook, but in full, long-form conversations that breathe, that grow, that matter, and that touch each other. Let me read you a quick email from Marianne. This came in on my Carrie Harrison Substack. It's one email, and think about it. One email is going to represent maybe 10,000 people thinking exactly the same thought. Here's what Marianne says, quote, I am disgusted by what this president and his MAGA team are doing to this country. It deserves a, all caps, very large demonstration of discontent. As long as we are all operating as small groups, we can't stop them. Do your best, she's talking to me, to please unite with other agencies that have been attacked. Please, in all caps, Marianne. Okay, I heard that. I get it. And yes, I'm going to begin to provide resources and things that you ask for on my website at carrieharrison.com. You're going to have to give me a week or so to get it up. That would be the resources and such, of course. And think about it. The one recurring question that every one of us gets all day, every day, all the time is, but what can I do? Where can I go? And there is no answer. There's no answer from whatever politician where we're working on it. Insufficient answer. You're still asking, but what can I do? I want to do something. What can I do? Where can I go? We're going to get those questions answered. We're going to come up with places to go and things to do. We certainly can't look to impotent crustaceans like Chuck Schumer, whose greatest exertion of daily energy is to pull his reading glasses to the end of his nose. I'm appalled by crap politicians and whatever party they may claim. I hold no side except that of the Constitution, which my wrenching and vomiting ancestors are watching shoved into the shredder. Sure, why not close the Department of Education? In other words, public schools, which my ancestor, God, I'm name dropping like crazy, right? But my ancestor on my mother's side, Abraham Lincoln, created the Department of Education after slavery because guess what? Slaves were forbidden to be able to read. Now we can all read, most of us anyway. So close down the Department of Education. Why would you do that? You would do that to rebuild all schools as private, for-profit schools and then force the public to pay for attendance. Not out of their taxes, but out of their pockets. And who do you think writes that curriculum? As of today, on the government websites, the Holocaust, it never happened. And I remember interviewing a guy named Mel Mermelstein in I think it would have been in the late 90s. But he had taken a case in front of the Supreme Court in 1978 and won, prevailed. And they ruled that you could not claim the Holocaust never happened, that it was a historical fact. It had really actually happened. Now, in this country, it didn't happen. It's unexists. It's just erased, scrubbed from public life. Jackie Robinson never existed. Never existed. The Enola Gay never dropped the bomb. What bomb? Slavery never happened. And like Mother Russia, there have never been gay people in the United States. And if you happen to think you are one, shut up. You've already been officially erased from public life. Let's not pretend that we all know these aren't just interesting times, as we're being told by the newspapers. These are historically exhausting, mentally taxing, make you think your life choices times. And maybe you woke up today. Oops, woke. Even that word has been corrupted. It's been perverted. It's been twisted. Maybe you arose and you've already given up on the news entirely because reality is now written by what looked to be rejected Hollywood screenwriters who were told that their ideas were too unrealistic. And here they are today for real. Maybe you're just trying to figure out how to survive another day without breaking something expensive or worse, your own sanity. So let's get straight to the point. What do you actually need from this show, from me? What can I do for you? Because this isn't just my time, it's your time. It's time. It's time for all of us. The one thing none of us can afford to waste at this moment. Maybe you want razor-sharp political analysis, the kind that slices through the nonsense and serves up the real story behind the headlines. Maybe you want to understand why decisions made in high-rise offices and marble halls are messing with your grocery bill, with your health care, with your ability to retire before the sun explodes. If that's what you're here for, great. Let's get into it. Or maybe you've had it with politics. And what you really need is help navigating something even more complicated. Relationships, holding on to your friendships, dating in this modern age. Because for real, finding love today is like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded while riding a mechanical bull. Should you text back to a person? Should you swipe left? Should you delete your dating apps altogether and join a monastery? Let's figure this out together. These are the things you and I deal with, not just the news, but there's life involved. And for any of us to show up for even the news portion, we have to be able to show up for the life portion as well. This is why in an airplane, when the oxygen mask falls, you put it on yourself first. I know it sounds cruel. Yes, but there's a child. Yeah, if you put it on the child first, you suffocate, you drop the mask. Now you and the child have both suffocated. You now have 2 dead people in the row. That's why you put it on yourself first. I want to create the mask so you can put it on you first so that you are useful and can contribute in whatever way you can. It's a way to actually feel better in a world that feels designed and is built now to keep you stressed, to keep you outraged, to keep you running on fumes. Maybe you're tired of feeling stuck in bad habits, stuck in bad jobs, stuck in a doom scrolling loop at 2 a.m. Maybe what you need isn't another headline, but a real honest conversation about how to stay sane, how to find joy, how to build relationships that actually matter. Or maybe you just want to laugh. Maybe you want the kind of conversation that makes you forget for just a little while that the world is a twisted, chaotic mess. You want stories, you want wisdom, life hacks, maybe a little hope that things can get better. It always boils down to what at the end? Community. And whatever it is, now's your chance. This hour is a blank slate, and I want you to fill it. What do you need? What do you want? This show can be a lifeline, a sounding board, a wake-up call, or just the most intimate conversation you're going to have all day. But for that to happen, I'm going to need to hear from you. Now, I've never done all this work for passive listeners ever. I used to even get paid for it before radio was defunded and defanged. I now do this for you, for me, for anybody who's got critical thinking skills, because connection matters. And I get connected when I do this. So, the artistic side of me is satisfied and fed. The survival side is also satisfied and fed. And that's why I want you to tell me directly and expressly how you want to say, what kind of show that fits your needs. We'll bring the truth, the dark humor, the hard questions, but only if you help us shape the conversation. So I want you to pick up the phone, make some noise. Let's turn this FM signal and live stream into something that is what you want and you need. Pick up the phone and call 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Let's go to Lee in Sepulveda, California. Lee, you're on the Carrie Harrison Files.
Yeah, before I say anything, I could barely hear you. Your volume right now, it's perfect. But as I was on hold, I could barely hear you. So I don't know if you can do anything about that.
I can't, but I'm glad you're not on hold so we can hear each other. So hooray for us.
Okay, great. There's something called PASOIR.com. It has another blog thing that is called STUN, Stop the Unfit Narrative. What they're planning on Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th to April 20th, which is the last day of the Lexington Concord battle. They're going to have 6 days of information, education, and the biggest thing we're going to learn is what the First Amendment means and how to use it, because how we've been using it since the 50s is what the framers were afraid of, mobocracy, they called it, where just 1 million people or 1,000 people show up and it's just chaos. The First Amendment was not meant to be handled that way. It was what you're doing right now, an opportunity for people to get exchanged and get your grievances handled. So I want you to know that UCLA, USC, we're going to fill the Rose Bowl. We're going to fill the Coliseum. We're going to have honest police, have 100 students each to make sure that it doesn't turn into mobocracy. It's going to be education. It's going to be information, education, and peaceable, which is what the First Amendment cries for. So I just want you to know that you'll be hearing from Passois, what I don't know how to say it, but from this stun outfit, and they're going to have this go all across the country at all major professional sports venues, because that's what Jackie Robinson broke. He integrated Major League Baseball after, I don't know, 100 years of however it was. And that is what we plan on doing in this nation. Those of us who are into not the fascism that Trump and his group are, that we're into an integrated, peaceable group that can go forward. So,
all right, my friend, I really appreciate your call. I'm going to put clips of this on my YouTube, Substack, so that people can review what you've said and it didn't just go out on the ether unheard. Okay?
Okay. And that's PASOIR.com. You'll find Stun on there, and there's a plan. It's set up. Anybody can get there, and we'll make this thing happen. Oh, I'll tell you something else that they said that I don't know what they're saying about this. They said they have a legal, constitutional way to rid ourselves of Trump. I don't know what they mean exactly, but I'm certainly interested.
All right. Well, appreciate your call, my friend, and looking forward to more information. And as we used to say back in the 80s, have a great day.
Thank you so much. And as a veteran, I really, really appreciate your work that you do there for us.
I thank you, my friend. It is my pleasure, trust me. And it's also my pleasure to point out that Passoir is spelled P-A-S-O-I-R, not P-I-S-O-I-R, which we all know is an entirely different thing, though it feels the same at this very moment. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, your Harrison hotlines, 818-985-KPFK. We're going to pause for a second. When we are on the other side, we're going to go to Roland in Los Angeles. We have G in Glendale and others at 818-985-KPFK, reminding you that we're live streaming right now on YouTube. Simply Google Carrie Harrison YouTube or Substack, or just go to kpfk.net as we continue with your calls, as you tell me what is the show you want and what do you want to talk about and what do you want to hear here.
Smells like fish. Tastes like chocolate.
It's the Carrie Harrison Files. CarrieHarrison.com.
Well, it's still legal.
The Carrie Harrison Files. CarrieHarrison.com.
And it is the Carrie Harrison Files. That's right, CarrieHarrison.com, the website where you can sign up for our newsletter and, of course, get clips and analyses and things that we cannot say on the radio. Why do I say we cannot say on the radio? I imagine that, 90% of you, apart from people that might be streaming on kpfk.org or watching on YouTube at the Carrie Harrison YouTube channel, if you're not streaming, but you're a radio listener and you have been listening from years, you'll probably remember how fun radio used to be in the 90s and 80s. I mean, back in the 70s, I think. I mean, I really wasn't around then the same way, but there was Fire Sign Theater. I mean, there was really kind of cool, radical stuff. Much of it invented, guess where? This station. This station. And this network was the whole reason that the First Amendment ended up in front of the Supreme Court, and they came up with these so-called 7 naughty words or 5 or whatever through George Carlin. This network, this station, we have been instrumental, but we're under such severe crosshairs right now, such micromanaging scrutiny that golly gosh and gee whiz is about as far as I can go. So I have to put real stuff on my website. Like if you want a discussion, it's going to happen on Substack. That's the only way I could talk about really hardcore stuff. Otherwise, I got to keep it a little light and fuzzy. Now, you can call in and say what you want, but I got to keep it light and fuzzy. And it's perverse, seeing as my ancestors, and probably yours too, wrote the First Amendment. And one of the things about it was not just that you could say what you want about the king, which was a new idea, and that your head wouldn't simply fall off and roll down the gutter for doing so, but they knew, the founding fathers smartly knew, that if people could stand up and scream and yell in the middle of the street, they weren't going to do something about it. And everyone doesn't have great mental health on the same day. So just because you have the freedom to speak doesn't mean that you're a sane person freely speaking. You may be a not sane person freely speaking. So if you get it off your chest, you're probably not going to go do something about it. So that was kind of an interesting catch-all in that sort of thinking. Lines are open right now. We have a line open at 818-985-KPFK. Your Harrison hotlines at 818-985-5735, asking you, what is the show you want so I can build it, curate it, and create it for you on a weekly basis. Let's go. We've got Harold in Santa Barbara. We've got Roland in LA. We have G in Glendale. We have David in South Central Los Angeles. We'll go next to Harold North in Santa Barbara, California. Welcome. You're on the Carrie Harrison Files.
Yes, thank you for taking my call. All you need to do is what you are doing. You are the man. Make other people that are gay or whatever be proud of who they are, and give them the right to be who they are and to protect those rights and tell them to be safe, because of you're next, and then they're going after all the disabled people. And as a veteran, I am proudly to state that I was dishonorably discharged. I can't tell you the reasons, but that's a badge of courage, such as you wear. You're the man. Bye.
Thank you, my friend. What a nice call. I like those calls. But I know you like the calls that don't say that too. And I am open for every kind of call, every kind. That's the beauty of this thing. 818-985-KPFK, your Harrison hotlines, 818-985-5735. I do appreciate that. This is Hotel Earth, and everyone gets a room. That's the rule here. That's the spirit of our Constitution. It is not to be reinterpreted by whoever has the keys to the new car. That is the plan. Imperfect as it has been practiced over time, but over 250 years, we got pretty close to something quite tolerable, didn't we? Even, 2 months ago, we were pretty close to it. Let's go next to Roland in Los Angeles. You're on the Carrie Harrison Files. Welcome. Hey, Roland. Okay, probably can't hear me. Let's go to David in South Central. You're on the Carrie Harrison Files. Welcome.
Hey.
Hello, my friend.
We're talking about getting involved and what can I do, you know?
Yeah.
So what I did in South LA, I went to Community Coalition, and I just picked up as many pamphlets as I could and just started reading them, man. And I'll see what applies to me best. And anyone who lives in South LA, go to Community Coalition and see if you can find what you need. And, you know, just find grassroots movement. That's about it.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to put a clip of what you just said on YouTube so that people can review it and it doesn't get lost in the I think he said portion, because it will. Plus, there's going to be transcripts so that everything you say will be written down when you go to carrieharrison.com and sign up. I want you to walk away with tools, not just be entertained. Sure, we entertain each other. It's good, clean fun. But if you actually hear something that's usable and you can't write it down, because let's face it, you're listening to the radio. Oh, Mildred is driving. Hold on. She's going to be on the 405 going, well, I would say 80 miles an hour, but let's just be honest, 3. But what is she going to use her lipstick to write on the side of her purse what you just said? No. So this is the workaround. We'll have transcripts. We'll have everything there available for you. Coming up, we're going to go to G in Glendale. We're going to go to a couple of others. First, we go to Megan in Mar Vista, California. Megan, you're on the Carrie Harrison Files.
Hi. I just wanted to encourage people to reflect upon this thing about how the delicate little flowers, the women, they can't have transgender competitors in sports. A person so old as myself will remember that there was this tennis pro. He was a big, loudmouth tennis pro, and he was always explaining to the public, I guess he had an audience, I don't know, anyway, that women, of course, could never possibly compete with men because they're delicate flowers, right? So Billie Jean King can't challenge him, and she whipped his ass. And I just think that maybe we have to wonder, why do women have to be these delicate little flowers? Okay.
Megan, right now, they have found that some of the most watched sports television are the women's events, basketball, tennis, other sports. When they put the women on, it is like all eyeballs on that, way more interesting than the limited Neanderthals running at each other, which are us men. And we're good at that. We collide, it makes a noise, we grunt. But there's a certain grace and nuance with women that men simply cannot replicate. And sports networks understand this now, and it draws a big crowd. Women have forever been able to see nuance, to smell different smells all in the same chamber, to be able to see even the most nuanced and small particles amidst the larger whole, and be able to have that kind of scrutiny and multitask way better than men. In fact, women develop language skills way earlier on, which they're now in research discovering. One of the reasons that men, or boys anyway, we love to do the king of the castle and just beat each other up. And women are way more conversant because they learn communication skills at an earlier age, so they can actually articulate frustrations and work their way through. We as males, often, I don't speak for all of them, but we don't have the communication skills, but we have the fists and the muscles. So I'm all in favor of Finland, where you have women running the country, and it's in the top 2 for quality of life. So we know it's true. So your delicate flower, I happily put water on it and watch it germinate and grow and thunder into a mighty sequoia. Thank you so much for your call. That opens up a line. Your Harrison hotlines at 818-985-KPFK, 5735, 818-985-KPFK. Let's go to G in Glendale. You're on the Carrie Harrison Files. G, welcome.
Brother Carrie Harrison, thanks again. A million things I want to tell you, but things always come up the past 24 hours, so I got to put the other things on the back burner. In fact, in this phone call, I got a few things. Number one, from now on, thanks to you, not the last time I talked to you on IMRU, but the last time I talked to you on Friday, I have a new name thanks to you. No longer G in, not of Glendale, but P1G. That's number one. Number two, a few weeks ago when you did that great job with the fires, now I knew you and I were friendly enemies because I'm a leftist, you're a liberal. But thanks to your great caller Harold a few weeks ago when he said that you were actually a right winger. I didn't know that. So thanks to Mr. Harold for enlightening us. Next thing, what's it called? Even if you hadn't said this, I said this last week to your colleague, the great brother Sylvester Rivers, and I was going to plan on telling you and Mr. and Sister Melina, Dr. Melina Mohammed, if you could, you do a great job on all the platforms. But if you, and I'm going to tell Mr. Michael Novik this as well, on the KPFK website, if you could put down, you know, your great guests that you have on, especially ones that are not famous like Babe Ruth, Muhammad Ali. If you could put there on the KPFK website, you know, your brother Jim Lafferty and Mitch Jesuich, who's in this time slot Monday through Thursday, do a great job of it. If you could put, you know, their contact information, their books, their DVDs, CDs, so on and so forth, that would be great. So as first thing we go is to the KPFK website, then we go on to your other platforms. Last thing, you might have a guest you might want to get on. As of 25 hours ago, because I don't mess with your boy Tom Hartman, I went to AM radio listening to Stroke Boy, Wheelchair Boy, Dennis Prager. He had a fill-in. He has a fill-in Carl Jackson. You know, one of these our enemies, AM radio, these devils. But they were saying what's it called? Prager's coming back. So I went on the website, punched in Prager to see who's gonna the other rest of the lineup, and it went to something you might find interesting. It went to PragerU, and it had this lady named Danielle Smith from so-called Canada. She's the premier of Alberta. Evidently, she's catching hack from our side because she's planning on going down to Paradise, aka Florida, and being with Ben Shapiro on a panel. So the NDP up in Canada is really coming down on her. So you might want to get somebody from the NDP, invite him on your show, and I know you do a great job with that, and I know how you like to be universal. So maybe get somebody on it, and attack her, and she's using public funds to go down there. She's using she's fronting like she's doing it to go with anti-tariffs against Trump, but the R side is really coming down on why she's going to appear with this devil Ben Shapiro. That's all I got. Hopefully next week, brother. Thank you. I'll catch you on Monday with IMRU. Take care. Be safe.
All right. Thank you. That's P1G. I said P1 because in radio language, you have levels of different listeners. You have the ones that are listening all the time. They are your P1 or Prime 1 listeners. Your P2 listeners, they listen a lot, but they kind of come and go, but they're really important. If you were a commercial station, for instance, a P2 listener would still buy whatever it is during the commercials. A P3 listener, they know about you, but they go here, they go there, and they don't really matter, and it ends at P3. So that's a P1. You'll notice he did not breathe one time in like 3 minutes. That is a skill. Let me tell you, I want him with the Navy SEALs diving. He's the guy I want to send out. Passion, that's what we're hearing here. That's why I'm asking you, what do you want out of this show? What do you want from me? What are your needs? What's going on in your life that we can actually address and talk to? I can invent what I think you want to hear, but our lives are all so complicated right now, and I can't mind read. And if it's simple loneliness, and that is the worst thing, this is creating such isolation in your life that you can't even talk to people, that you're so depressed you just want to sleep all day long, then you're not really available to be P1G. You're not available to do much, and whatever we say is going on, you're not available to show up to it. If that's what's going on, I want to hear about it because I want to be able to address what you need on the strongest FM west of the Mississippi. That's why 818-985-KPFK are your Harrison hotlines, 818-985-KPFK. We're going to pause for a second. When we come back, we're going to jump back to the phones, 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735.
This pussy grabs back. The Carrie Harrison Files. CarrieHarrison.com.
Listen while it's still legal.
The Carrie Harrison Files. CarrieHarrison.com.
You know, when I wrote that liner in radio, I love pulling the curtain behind because at this point, who cares anymore? No more pretend, no more make-believe. A liner is when you write something that goes on the radio, but it's short. It's just a line. And you can get a voiceover artist. Is that guy, Harry Legg out of New York. He's an NBC guy. He's a friend of mine. You'll hear him on TV and sports and here and there. Loves what we do here. So gonna help. A lot of people are gonna help when they know about what you and I do here together. All that to say, when I wrote that liner, it was funny. And Renee, hold that message up that we're seeing coming from YouTube. People can write comments. We key it up over the video. If you go to Carrie Harrison YouTube channel or you're watching live on Substack, you're going to see this comment. I'm going to read it in just a second. That liner was, listen while it's still legal. Now, that was really never a threat like a month ago, or maybe in the last 50 years. It's now for real. Listen while it's legal. Like, who would have ever thought any of us would actually think that? But here we are at this moment. We're opening up the lines, but I'm going to read you a comment that's keyed up over the video if you're watching. It says, and it's from Kareem, and pardon me if I mispronounce your last name, but it's microscopic on my screen, Kareem Salesi. It says, per retired judge Dale Chase, United States was registered in France by the royals and elites as a private corporation subsequent to the 1933 U.S. Bankruptcy Act, which snatched U.S. sovereignty. Okay, yes, that's a much longer story. And a call, if you're able to make it using analog telephones, maybe not if you're watching the live stream. How do I use the phone and call? I know, it's weird. Radio, it's an old school legacy. But it does work for those who are listening that way. But thank you so much for that. And of course, I want to jump into a little bit about the French after I jump to James, Devin, and Sherry next, okay? But the French are publishing right now, according to French media reports, they're planning a 20-page booklet to go out to its citizens this summer. The French government is going to remind its people the French people, that in the event of a nuclear attack, they have to remember to close the doors and windows. During a rainstorm, too. But governments don't just do that because they're bored and they want to do 20 pages and mail it to all their people. It's code, just as what I just read was keyed up on video. And we'll get into that in just a minute. Let's, the lines, the Harrison hotlines are 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Devin in Hollywood, you're on the Carrie Harrison Files. Welcome.
Thank you.
Go ahead, my friend.
Yes, thanks. So you obviously were asking what we would like to hear, and clearly the left is very depressed about Trump and all the policies that he's already enacting. And, the one thing that keeps me sane is recognizing that we in the USA still have the strongest democracy. It's not the largest, but clearly the strongest. And the structural foundation of that democracy is still in place, even though, the left is getting more and more despondent about Trump dismantling it. But, I think, it's hard-pressed to think that he would destroy our democracy in the coming 4 years. So I'm going to wait it out and rely on the structural foundation. And for me, the structural foundation is, for example, Pacifica Radio still having a voice, being, not being banned. That's one. Number two, the Supreme Court, even though, it's a conservative court, it's still in place. And, they will do their best, even if, combined with their bias, to uphold the Constitution. So for me, that gives me hope. I recognize that Trump won, me as a left lost, so I accept the defeat. So whatever Trump does, and even as extreme as it is, I accept it as a defeat, and I got to wait it out, knowing that the structural foundation of democracy will still withstand whatever Trump does. And what I'd like for you to address on your show is, and I would love for you to do it even right at the beginning of every time you have the show, talk about the structural components of democracy that are still in place and that can give us hope, even if we have to wait 4 years to return to a better democracy.
You got a deal. And I love that. That's why you asked me. I love that. I sleep, I dream about it. Honest to God, you have just given me permission to do what I want, but I needed to hear it from you so I don't just make a decision and make everyone eat that particular meal. So I thank you. And quick question, Devin. Am I hearing South Africa?
You sure are.
Okay. The reason I studied linguistics and I was capable at it, let's just say, and I could speak a few languages. In hearing South Africa, and that means you grew up in the same environment as Mr. Musk, and you also got to see someone like Nelson Mandela rise and change things and make it better. I think what everyone is looking for right now is, where is our Nelson Mandela? And you've seen it happen, so it can happen, which is why you're giving us hope and have confidence. And so I appreciate your eyewitness report as you called in today, my friend.
Thank you very much.
All right, my friend, be well. That opens up a Harrison hotline at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735. Let's go next to James in Venice. James, you're on the Carrie Harrison Files.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was wondering if you would consider having a calendar of protest demonstrations. I heard of a gathering tomorrow in Santa Monica at Santa Monica College. I don't know what time, but maybe with your means, you can figure out and tell your audience where there are going to be protest demonstrations.
I love this idea. Here's my limitation on that. I am reduced to a one-man band. which is fine. I can play several instruments at one time. That kind of thing takes somebody who can jump on a website and update it. And if anybody listening that would like to do that and can get access to that information too. So that's the other part, that you would know how to do it or you'd know where to go. I will hand over the keys to the website, and if you update that, you'll be doing everyone a big solid. So the answer is yes, yes, yes to everything, as long as we can pull it off. What a great idea, James. I appreciate it.
Harry, I am the original analog man. So if I don't get it over the radio, I don't get it. But thanks for listening.
All right. Well, you're welcome, my friend. And back when I was doing Air America, so what was that, 10 years ago? We used to do Activism A Go-Go. And we would do these every day. And it was exactly the who, what, where, and the when. But we had live humans in the background, and they were paid. So that's kind of the different rub. But I think anything is possible. And now that you've requested it, well, it got heard. So let's see what we can do. I appreciate your call, my friend. That opens up a line at 818-985-KPFK, 818-985-5735, your Harrison hotlines. Let's go next to Jim in Long Beach. Jim, you're on the Carrie Harrison Files.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, I love it. Turn down your radio.
Hello?
Please, turn down your radio.
Hello?
Yes, hello. If you could turn down your radio, please.
I did.
Excellent. Hello, my friend. I haven't had to say that in like 20 years. It's wonderful. It's a flashback to the old days.
Awesome. The two short comments, Carrie, and it's a pleasure speaking with you. The know-it-all, more than all the generals in the world, they should know about this because the Supreme Court, Roberts, already weighed in on the question. There is a process to go through judge rulings, disagreements. It's called an appeal. It has been in place for over 200 years in our country. And the other comment, and I'll hear your comments either online or offline, either way. But the other comment is that and I predicted this a few weeks ago. One of the biggest investors at Tesla already asked Elon Musk to step down as CEO. And because for many reasons, because of the political controversies and fundamentally because of the money, follow the money. 50% since December, Tesla stock has gone down, and their inventories are, nobody seems to know exactly how much it is, but it's in the tens of thousands cars. And since 2024, there is at least 200,000 cars that have not been Teslas that have not been sold. So, and another strong argument is the reputation damage that is brought to Tesla. So either you keep me online or offline, doesn't matter.
I'll let you go, my friend, and thank you.
Great job there.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. Just to comment on that a little bit, we do have appeals courts, but that is in an era where people followed the law, where people respected the rule of law, where people thought, well, I guess I have to go to court to figure it out. And we're seeing this kind of pirate, pulling out swords out of scabbards and just slashing, chainsawing governments, even though judges say, stop. So appeals courts are great so long as somebody believes in them. And maybe your and my job is to bring that belief back, at least to the general public, or at least bring them around to knowing that those are even there. And with that, it can enforce, and the judges can feel like they have warm wind under their sails. Because if I were a judge dealing with this alone and getting God knows what kind of horrible phone calls from you-know-who and you-know-what, I would be pretty terrified. And how long will they be able to withstand that if they don't feel anyone has their back? So part of what we can do is send flowers. Send flowers to your judge. to your federal judge and let them know, I like you. You're swell. Because if you're totally alone, how many times can you stick your neck under the blade of the guillotine without thinking you're going to get a shave? And that's the reality. Again, that's why I want to know what you want here. And you guys are filling up the menu. And after the show, you can continue to do the same. I promise you. Let's go next to Sherry in Mission Viejo. You're on the Carrie Harrison Files. Welcome.
Yes, hi. I wanted to say that we all know what the problem is. So I would like to know what to do. What can we do collectively? And I'm really worried about the people who are getting Social Security. Like my mom is one of them. She's disabled. And if she loses her Social Security, she actually will become homeless. And the other things I wanted to say is, if you're talking about deporting people, why don't we deport Musk? He's from South Africa. He came here. He got actually the taxpayers' money to become a billionaire. And now he is the one who destroyed our country more than any other immigrant. And why are we subsidizing the oil companies? And like B-2 bombers, we're subsidizing countries who are doing genocide. So if you're talking about a waste in the government, these are the places we can cut. And I have many friends, they are federal employees. All the rumors that there are waste, this and that is not actually true. They work a lot of hours. They work more than 2 people at each job. So all of these rumors are not really true. And the other thing I was going to say is, if we don't want immigrants in this country, then we should stop, we should change our foreign policy. We should stop meddling with other countries. We go there, we take their resources, we make people desperate, other jobs, and they don't have anything. You have to be very desperate to just move to a country that they don't want you. You don't speak the language, and you don't know the culture, and they want to put you in jail. So otherwise, you would not be. Nobody wants to leave their country if things are okay in their own country. And just lastly, I am an Iranian American, and our country changed overnight from having freedom. I won't say it was a total democracy, but it was not a dictatorship to this point. So, they've been in power for 50 years, and they have killed a lot of people, jailed, raped, you name it. And because I think people didn't stand up. And if we think the same thing is not going to happen here, I think it will. And that's why they're doing everything so quickly. So I think, we need to wake up. We need to stand up right now. Otherwise, it's going to be too late. I just see such a similarities.
Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate it. We got a bunch of calls. I really appreciate your checking in. Thank you so much for that excellent analysis. People from all over the world. That's the cool thing here on this show. Everybody from everywhere. 818-985-KPFK, your Harrison hotlines. Let's go next to Kevin, who is a woman. Kevin, welcome to the Carrie Harrison Files.
Hi. I'm calling from Santa Clarita. I would like to say that I think that everything that everyone said was great, but we need to have a central point and a central theme, just like the Tea Party and MAGA did on the right. We need to have one slogan and one central, like a clearinghouse for the marches, for the protests, and the whole resistance, so that we can be unified in our push. That's what I think. We need to support the people that are standing up for us, like Bernie and AOC. And I think that will embolden other other Democrats to be more outspoken and more radical and more forthright, or whatever you want to call it, in the proposals and in their actions and in their bravery, basically. So that's all I have to say.
I appreciate it.
Organized.
Thank you, Kevin, very much.
And I think, like the other man that that spoke. The radio could be an incredible instrument for getting out the word on where the marches are, where the organization is, where people go, because people have a terrible thirst. They're lonely and they're frustrated, yes, but they want to be told, where can I help? What can I do? How can I resist? Give me some place to go. Just like you said, send these judges flowers or whatever we can do. We want to help. But we need to be more focused, more unified, and we need the leaders that, like you, that will come forth and lead us. That's what we need. I'm 82 years old, and I've seen quite a bit in this country, but nothing like this. This is just horrendous, and everybody needs to take action to resist this fascism, this takeover of our country to the wealthy and corporations.
I love your fire, and I thank you so much, Kevin. Very much appreciate it. Challenge accepted. Let me throw out a call to action. Please, if you can help organize that, we're just down to the last few minutes here. I'm going to try to squeeze in a couple of more calls. Call to action. If you know how to put together, and we used to do a segment called Activism A Go-Go, whatever it's called, I don't care. But if you can put together a weekly, here's what's coming up, and when it's happening, we'll do it on the radio. I just can't do everything, plus live streaming, big video productions. All of it is coming out of what once I thought was going to be my retirement. It is gone. Everything is in on this for me, and I know it is for you too. If you can work a basic website, it's not even WordPress. I mean, it's like super easy, and start to post the stuff and help me out on it. Let's get together. So that's my invitation to you. Let's make this happen. I think we have time to squeeze in one more, maybe two. Well, let's find out. Let's go to Mark in Wilmington. You're on the Carrie Harrison Files. Mark. Okay, let's jump to Teresa in Santa Monica. Teresa, you're on the Carrie Harrison Files.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff today. I just want to say that, in my opinion, all these groups that are organizing, like Indivisible, Move On, 50/50, Pink, Code Pink, we need to get together and demonstrate, together, as well as having a general strike. If we have a general strike in this country, I think we'll get Trump and Musk's attention. And by the way, tomorrow, I don't know about the Santa Monica College demonstration, but there's an indivisible demonstration at the Federal Building at 12 o'clock to save our Constitution, and I plan to be there. Thank you for your show.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. Thank you very much. Carrie Harris with you. I consider this a success. It may be what we do again next week. We'll do it as much and as often as we need to until we figure out what that sweet spot is. But getting a sense of what you need, what your needs are, what you want to know, what's going to help you, what's going to make you feel better, that matters to me. Honestly, I can sit around and produce these shows. We can find a guest. They're cool. They're great. But I mean, so what? We've been doing that for 50 years, and that era of what was 50 years departed 5 weeks ago. We're not living in those days anymore. So I'm willing to do whatever that heavy lifting is for you. I could use your help. If you can reach out to me, go to carrieharrison.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can shoot me a direct email. Let me know what you can do to help. And I will help you back. I appreciate it. Renee Yawarski, our fabulous director and Rhodes Scholar attorney. Mwah. And Gary Baca in our studio at KPFK. I thank you, my friend. Carrie Harrison with you. This is the Carrie Harrison Files.
Smells like fish. Tastes like chocolate.
It's the Carrie Harrison Files. Carrie Harrison.